Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of You Win or You Learn. I'm Dylan Haskin. In this episode, I'm interviewing my friend Kevin Sawyer. He is the owner of Show and Tell, which is a marketing agency here in Cape Town. Kevin and I go quite a long way back. We've been working together for a number of years and looking forward to sharing this episode with you. Camera, Philip. You good? Okay, shot Kevin. Thanks for coming.
Lekker.
So, the idea of this podcast basically, it's called You Win or You Learn, and basically looking at things we've learned along the way, especially from other entrepreneurs, other like small business owners, like you being in the same kind of like field as me. I have a lot of questions.
I'm definitely learning at the moment, not winning.
Maybe let's take it back to the beginning, but not when you were born. Well, you can begin from there if you want to. But
I'll speed a couple of years up.
If you want to give me or to people who are watching who don't know who you are, just give me a quick who you are and what you currently do, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Well, Kevin Sawyer, but at the moment I'm in a transition period, building a marketing agency rather than being a solo creator. But up until now, I've been primarily a photographer for the last 12 years. And probably the last 2 to 3 years, switched more to video content. It's like probably 80% video, 20% photo now. But moving forward, trying to reposition to build a marketing agency rather than being a solo creator.
Yeah, I think that's where pretty much I'm in the same boat. The same idea. Let's go back to, so you're not from Cape Town? You're
born and grew up in KZN on the coast.
Yeah.
Went to boarding school inland, up in Bothers Hill. Probably the best 5 years of my life. I really enjoyed it. I had my brother at school with me for 1 year. He was older, so in my junior year, he was in his last year at school, so that was quite a cool time to be at school together. And then stayed in Durban after school. Left school in 2006, and I stayed in Durban until probably 2016. And then I moved to Cape Town.
What were you doing in Durban after school?
I freelanced, so I actually studied art direction. I studied advertising and specialized as an art director. And after studies, I didn't really enjoy the traditional advertising vibe. So I didn't want to go into the traditional advertising route. So I worked as a graphic designer for O'Neill surf brand, and I did that for about a year, designing women's clothes, kids' clothes, men's clothes, doing anything, all graphics. And then I just didn't want to. I didn't see myself doing that forever. So I got out and just started freelancing. And then
when you were freelancing, then was that in graphic design or what?
No, I kind of stopped graphic design and just I was always shooting during photos while I was doing graphic design. And I had a couple clients that I was just shooting for on the weekends and stuff. So I was kind of making almost the same amount of money from freelance photography as I was full-time graphic design. So then I was like, okay, cool, I can probably drop the graphics and I'm still earning the same amount of money. And then I got a job with Moses Stadium around 2010 Soccer World Cup time, and then I worked with Moses Stadium from probably around 2011, 2012 until about 2016, and I did all photo and video content for them. I kind of just had a contract with them, and that kind of kept me going. It was really cool position and job to kind of just learn a lot. And I probably shot at the stadium 4 days a week, kind of throughout the whole year. It was pretty steady. There was always something happening there. I did anything from sports events, music concerts, corporate conferences, to just their marketing and advertising of anything that happened around the stadium. And then, that contract ended in 2016, and I kind of had nothing to do. So I decided to move to Cape Town and just change things up. And that ended up being a good and bad decision.
Why did you decide to move to Cape Town?
I just felt Durban. So while I was working at the stadium, I was working like as an assistant, a lighting and digital assistant for a fashion photographer by the name of Vaughan Trevelyan, who now is like a shit hot fashion photographer in New York and Dubai, shoots for Vogue and crazy campaigns. Then Vaughan decided to leave
South Africa.
No, Durban, and he moved to Cape Town. So I actually moved in with him. I lived in his apartment for the first probably like 8 months I was in Cape Town. I rented his spare room and I carried on working with him just as his lighting and digital assistant, and that was mainly in fashion. So it wasn't where I wanted to be, but I learned a lot from him. And then he left South Africa. He now lives in Dubai and kind of travels the world from there. And that was my introduction to Cape Town.
Was it hard? Was it a hard decision to relocate? Because it's like, I don't know, or your family and friends, everybody is back there.
No, not really. Funny enough, I actually met my now wife probably 2 months before I moved to Cape Town, and she's Cape Townian. I met her while she was in Durban. So kind of, she was a big part of the moving to Cape Town. It kind of made it a bit easier. I didn't find it difficult or hard. I found like I didn't have much more to do in Durban career-wise. There wasn't really any more growth or anything, so I kind of wanted another challenge.
Just a fun fact, I met Kevin on the top of the Moses Meter.
Yeah, Moses Meter Stadium on the arch.
On the stadium, there's like a what do you call that thing that goes up the side? Like a tram or a
elevator? They call it a sky car, I think.
Yeah, the sky car. So we're busy going up it. I was there to shoot a triathlon, and you were also on it.
Yeah, I was shooting the triathlon as well.
Yeah. And then I have like a selfie. I'll see if I can put in the video that I took of everyone, and that was on the top.
That was with Max Kleur. Yeah.
And then we're on top of the Moses Meter.
Yeah, that was 2013, I think.
Yeah, that was where I met Kev, and then probably only saw you again when we came back from overseas, which was like 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
But then I've been like following you on Instagram pretty much ever since then. Okay, so then what happened? So you moved to Cape Town. You were kind of beginning over in one way. You obviously had like a portfolio going, and you had maybe some clients, or no?
I had no clients when I moved to Cape Town. So pretty much my only income was coming from assisting Vaughan when I first moved here. I kind of knew my focus was on sport, and that's where I wanted to shoot. I wanted to shoot in the sports kind of industry. So I started reaching out to a couple of people, and I managed to connect with Varsity Sports. And they needed content creator, photographer and video for all their sports that they were growing. And it just happened to be at a time where they were growing their brand quite a lot. So I kind of slotted in there, and I shot for Varsity Sports every week for probably 2.5 years. And I still know the guys from Varsity Sports very well today. That was kind of like my introduction to sports in Cape Town. And things just grew from there.
So when's that? That's like from 2016
Yeah,
on through. So
I moved to Cape Town beginning of the year 2017. So I think a road trip from Durban to Cape Town, I think in March 2017, that I'd done like a trip to Cape Town at the end of 2016 and just to kind of check things out. And then I officially moved here in March 2017, yeah.
And then from there, how did things go to, let's say, up until like COVID time?
Yeah, I feel like a lot happened. I kind of just spent the next couple of years just trying to kind of like network and get to know as many people as possible, and just kind of take on any job that came my way, just to kind of like get your foot in the door with the industry here. Because obviously, like compared to Durban, it's so saturated, and there's just so many people, so many photographers and creators in Cape Town. So yeah, I just spent the next couple of years kind of just taking every job that came my way, and I kind of focused on sports, but yeah, did pretty much anything corporate, sports, portraits, whatever I could.
When did you get married? Was it 2018?
I got married, 2018. So I said, I'd met Marietta in Durban, and her and I, we started dating soon after I moved to Cape Town, and then we got engaged early 2018 and got married in October 2018.
Okay. Sorry, did you say that you got engaged beginning of 2018?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We had known each other for about a year, and then got engaged.
Yeah.
And then kind of just planned the wedding. Got married like 6 months later, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. So it didn't waste much time there. Yeah, and then that was the end of 2018.
Okay. Just on her, how did you guys meet?
We met at a triathlon. She was racing and I was photographing. And funny enough, we actually didn't meet. I didn't see her the whole triathlon until the end. A mutual friend introduced us to each other. The mutual friend knew I was moving to Cape Town and knew she was from Cape Town. So I kind of, at the finish line, said, "Hey, meet Kev, meet Mariella," and then kind of just walked away. And I think we shared some awkward small talk. and then didn't nothing much happened after that. And then she slipped into my DMs.
Okay.
Like a week later.
Yeah.
And I think I was driving to Cape Town like the next day. So I was like, cool, well, I'm going to be in Cape Town in like 2 days, so let's link up. And then, yeah.
And then you got married.
Yeah, we got married, yeah.
That's cool. Okay, when we get to COVID, how was that experience for you? Like what happened? Obviously, like for me, at least obviously with everybody, a lot of work totally dropped off, all those type of things. But how was your experience in COVID?
Yeah, COVID was kind of a shock to everyone. I didn't have any consistent, steady clients kind of like before COVID that were giving me work like every month. So it was just kind of job to job. So COVID kind of just dried everything up. But luckily, I had a really good friend who I'd known since probably 2012 who owned an agency in Joburg. And he offered me a salary to kind of do some work for him and keep things going within his agency. Which was really helpful. So I kind of took that on, and then just I went into a more permanent role of being more kind of like a project manager, kind of producer role. And then I carried on with that after COVID as well for probably 2 and a bit years. So that was probably until 2020 until like early 2022.
So you went from like a complete freelance position into almost it was employed with an agency.
Yeah. So COVID kind of like, I didn't have any clients that I could kind of like start up with after COVID again. So I would have had to kind of like build all that. I had relationships, but I think also a lot of the clients I was shooting for were very hesitant in spending money after COVID as well. Everyone was kind of running very lean. So it was super hard. So I just felt that was a safe thing to do. Just kind of take a steady income, security, get a salary, and I saw it as a learning curve. Like, it's, as a solo creator, you kind of doing all those things already for your own shoots, even if you don't realize it. It's still our responsibilities. So yeah, and it was nice working in a team. See how an agency works and a team works, and instead of just being on your own. So yeah, I just carried on with that for about 2.5 years. But yeah, there was a lot. I was flying up to Joburg every week, sometimes twice a week.
Sure.
For work. So yeah, like I said, that was probably until early 2022.
Leaving that, how did that happen?
I kind of got to a point where I missed the shooting, being on shoot and meeting people and traveling and kind of everything that we do this job for. Like, I stopped enjoying the admin and just sitting in office producing and kind of organizing things, planning, and then so I made the decision to kind of just go back on my own. I had a couple clients that were keen to work with me again, so I had something to start with. I wasn't starting from scratch again. So yeah, that was also, I didn't have a plan. I just knew that I wanted to shoot again, and I wanted to do different things that the agency was doing. So yeah, I just kind of made the decision and started again.
And like, I know you said now you weren't exactly like starting from scratch, but like at least what I know about that is, for example, with camera gear, like you started completely from scratch. Like all your gear went into the agency, and then when you left it, you didn't have anything.
Yeah, so kind of the gear that I did had built up before I joined the agency. I kind of sold to the agency to kind of get some cash into my pocket. And then when I left, I had no gear of my own, so I had to bite the bullet and just like drop a huge amount of money to buy gear. But I luckily I left the agency in like February 2022, and Cape Epic was happening in March, and I had a confirmed job for 10 days at Cape Epic.
Okay.
So that was enough money to kind of buy me a camera and 2 lenses.
Okay.
So I kind of, I just bought the camera and 2 lenses with my own money, and then used the money that I earned from Cape Epic to kind of pay for that. And that kind of got me back to having my own gear to carry on. And then I've just slowly built up from there again.
Yeah. I feel like there was also this thing I remember you talking to me about where us as, if you like just a photographer or whatever, it's sort of important to own gear. And it seemed like there was something that you learned from working at the agency about how in a way they own gear, but they also easily like rent stuff. So it's not necessarily always about having to own the stuff to be able to accomplish the shoot. Yeah,
I think when you're working, it means that the scale of projects, like in the agency, your project scope and the scale, they differ so much that you're not kind of niched into like these small little shoots. So in the agency, I was often working on really big projects. So their scope is just to rent as much gear as possible. And then that kind of saves you from owning the gear, and then owning your gear, you're paying huge insurance on the gear. And often you have like multiple jobs going on at the same time. So like you just can't own that much gear. So rentals is like a big part, and we lucky in Cape Town and Joburg and everything. There's really big rental houses that kind of offer everything you need, and they're not going anywhere. They're huge rental houses, so you can kind of rely on them.
I feel like I have quite a few like friends of mine who say are really wanting to be a photographer like full time and quit their other job, and it seems like a lot of the time they'll be like, as soon as they buy this gear, then they'll be able to do it type of thing. And
even now, like kind of when I'm probably 14 years into this career, and I feel like now I'm going backwards, where I'm finding there's certain pieces of gear that you need to own, but then just rent everything else. Like you don't need to own gear, and if you rent, you can use the latest and greatest stuff as well, because that's what's available. So if anyone's wanting to do things to get into the industry or do something, and they say they don't have the gear, just rent it. Rent it. Plan properly.
The time after you moved out of the agency, were you doing still predominantly like stills then, or had you already shifted into more video work by then?
Yeah, I'd shifted pretty much. Majority of our work in the agency was video based. Stills was a very small part of what we did. We were always doing stills, but that was kind of more of a supporting kind of piece and assets to a project that we're working on. It'd be video first, and stills would just be supportive assets to the project. So you have those assets to build a campaign and stuff. Everything I'd built up was focused on video first.
The move, say, from like photos to video, was that like a thing for you in the sense, I know a lot of like photographers they really just want to be photographers and they don't want to do video, and they can go through times of quite hard times because they don't want to, I don't know, there's like a way of looking at it that they're not adapting, but it could also just be they are just only photographers, right? And they don't want to go into video. Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, for a long time, I just enjoyed photos, and it's not that I didn't enjoy video. I was just, I saw it as something that was just very difficult, and like I didn't have the knowledge or anything, but I didn't find the transition too hard. I think from my background of studying advertising, studying art direction, I had that kind of knowledge of direction and building a story. So just now changing that from stills to video wasn't hard. The editing was probably the biggest thing for me that took me the longest to kind of learn and get right. And still learning.
Yeah, it's like an endless learning process.
Yeah, endless learning process. Especially at the rate that social media is going, and the trends, and everything moving. I don't think you'll ever have your finger on the pulse. Never be ahead of the curve.
Yeah. And now you've left the agency. You're back to freelance. What's happened since then? I mean, obviously now there's been a difference between being a freelancer and now going into your own kind of business?
Then my brain probably started ticking a little bit differently. And I started thinking more long term rather than just cool. What am I doing next week? Like, what jobs do I have? And then I started thinking of like, how do you start planning? Because now I've got a little daughter as well, so freelancers in a way is just kind of, you just this nomad where like you don't really have a schedule, you don't have a plan. Like I could have an open calendar next week, and then all of a sudden I'm traveling for 4 days. Things change so drastically. And I wanted to find a way that I could manage that and just have more stability. So the next step was to kind of use my knowledge from studies of the art direction and advertising to kind of pull that into the content creation that I've been doing, and kind of offer this full agency package of, I call it, offering a client a full life cycle of content marketing, from strategy, pre-production, planning, building out a campaign, to creating the content, post-production, media distribution, posting, management of everything. I have all of that knowledge. So I just thought, cool, let's package all of this and start building a marketing agency. And I probably should have done this 5 years ago. I think I was just enjoying the freelance life a little bit too much. So my brain started ticking, and I was like, cool, let's find a way to build something long term rather than just go from job to job. So that's where I'm at now, and I've kind of doing a rebrand and swapping over from Kevin Sawyer. I still have my personal brand, but that's more about me and my approach to marketing and content creation and networking and everything. And I'm building a business on the side called Show and Tell. And that's kind of my marketing agency. I'm offering this full service content marketing service.
And then with that company at the moment, are you looking at going, or how do you build that, in the sense of, are you working with freelancers for now, or like in the beginning, obviously, say getting employees and stuff like that is potentially out of reach in the beginning because of finances, or how is that process? Or like what are you thinking along those lines?
Yeah, I think with any new business, when you start, there's multiple ways of kickstarting a business and getting it off the ground. You can either kind of take out a business loan and go all in, or you can kind of start from scratch and do it a little bit more slower and have organic growth where you just do it on your own. And I'm going the route of, I don't have capital saved up. I don't have this big loan to grow the business. The way of scaling is just to use contractors and use suppliers for everything, and kind of build them into the project's budget and the scope. So you're still making money, you're charging your agency fee, and you're making small amounts of profits on each job, and you grow from there. So I think for the short term, I'm not looking at building the agency with employees. I'm more just using contractors and trying to work with the same contractors on all the jobs, so you learn how each other work, and you have your team, and we'll grow from there.
I feel like our industry, there's a lot of us who work together often. Like over the years, I've worked with you on multiple different jobs. Like you've hired me, I've hired you. We have other people who we've each worked with individually. There's something about the like network of people around here. It's interesting because it's almost like everybody's technically in competition with each other, if inverted commas, right? We're all trying to get our own clients, whatever, but we all work together anyway. How has that experience been for you, and what do you think about this, I don't know, like filmmaking industry in Cape Town?
Yeah, the industry it's really big, but at the same time, it's really small. Like you're saying, like being in the industry for so long, now you kind of know everyone that's in your kind of pond, in your niche, and you end up crossing paths and working with each other a lot, and you always have a job where you need other content creators and you start hiring each other. Like we worked on multiple projects, but the industry is also funny. It's like some people see you as a competitor, and they kind of try and outdo you or kind of undercut you, or they don't see you as someone they can work with because you're in direct competition with them. You do exactly the same, so you might steal their clients or something. I've kind of got to the point where I'm not the best photographer, and I'm probably not going to be the best photographer. I'm not the best videographer. I probably won't be the best videographer either. And same thing for editing. So the power of collaboration is kind of the next step to kind of have the best output for a project. Kind of instead of doing mediocre work and keeping it all to myself and the output's mediocre, rather start collaborating with other creatives who can add value to you, and then your outcome is far better, and your client gets a better value.
How are you at the moment? How's your process going with attracting clients or getting clients? What's that process been like? Say, what's been hard about it, and what have you learned in the meantime?
Are we talking about agency now?
Yeah. Or you can talk about how it was before and maybe how it's different now with agency.
Yeah, I still have like a small kind of like list of clients that I've worked with in my freelance capacity, and they've kind of welcomed the agency, the shift to an agency, well, and I've kind of like communicated that to them and tell them like where I'm going and what my goals are, and they a lot of them are excited about it, but then to kind of bring on new clients, it's hard because I feel like in our industry there's a lot of smoke and mirrors as well when it comes to clients. Like a lot of people talk a big game and they're always like, yeah, come on, like give me a good rate here, like there's a lot of work in the future, and you start learning like what's genuine and what's kind of like just bullshit. And then instead of like, and so you got to kind of draw a line, and I've like, and now I think I'm trying to bring on more clients that are fit to kind of my approach to content creation and marketing. Of cool, let's look at it. Let's go through an onboarding process. Let's learn about each other. Let's have a couple coffees. Let's chat with the whole team. Have Zoom calls. See how we work. Understand each other's like language. Like what our look and feel is. Like what are we trying to? What message are you trying to get us? And if I feel like my approach and my team and my way of marketing is aligned with them, then we'll take the next step and say, cool, let's look at a long process. What are your goals? How can we build content to reach a goal? Instead of just going, hey, I need photos of this event. Can you come? Yes, we can come. And you kind of like end up with just a whole lot of little projects of cool images. But you're not really building anything together. So I think I've kind of slowed things down a lot, and trying to see if you fit together. And it's hard. It's hard to do that because at the same time you need to make money. You know, there's 30 days in a month. That process doesn't happen overnight. So you're not making money while you're learning about each other and going through the processes. So you still have to do other jobs on the side. But yeah, hopefully the goal, in the long term, it pays off. Like I said in the beginning, I think you're calling this you either win or you learn. I'm definitely learning at the moment, more than winning. And you just got to kind of trust the process that what you believe in will happen.
There's a lot of, I mean, if I'm listening to all of your history, there's a lot of going into the unknown, right? So say like going out of college, going to your first job and then being like, I don't want to do this. I want to go and like freelance. That's like one, going to the unknown, leaving like Durban, going to the unknown into Cape Town. COVID, obviously we all kind of got thrown into the unknown there. Going into the agency, being unknown compared to what it was like freelancing, and leaving that to this and now beginning agency. How do you see going into the unknown, or is it like a big deal for you? Or like for a lot of people, I mean, taking that one like step to quit my job is like a huge deal, and
yeah.
you know,
like kind of
but like you seem to do
overwhelming
that
to some people.
Yeah, and it seems like quite like a thing in your life where that happens quite often.
Yeah, I've never seen it that way as like a common theme of kind of stepping into the unknown. But I feel like, yeah, that's more of a personal thing to me. I feel like I'm I don't get very stressed out easily or overwhelmed by a lot of things. I can handle. Yeah, I can handle a stressful situation, or I can handle the unknown, and I think I kind of enjoy it. I find like having this never give up attitude, or like quitting is not an option. Like, yeah, like you might get to a point where you feel like, okay, this is not working, but I feel like personally, I feel that when you get to that point, you're kind of on the edge of the breakthrough, and it will work. So like, yeah, I think I've just, every time I step into a new thing, it's like, just don't give up. And I had this conversation with someone recently of embracing disruptions in life. Like, disruption is not a message to say what you're doing is wrong and you change paths. Like, yeah, I just don't get very stressed out. I think, yeah, my wife kind of sees that as a I don't care about a lot of things. So we have that conversation quite a lot. She always asks me like why things don't overwhelm me, or why things don't stress me out, or like why don't I worry about things? And I'm just like, because worrying is not going to solve anything. Worrying is just wasting negative energy on something that's most of the time out of your control. Like, most of the things you worry about are completely out of your control. So just do what you can control, and things will work out.
Yeah, that's very good advice. I think a lot of energy is wasted on worrying about something that is 99% probably not even going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
The attitude that you have about going into the unknown and the like worrying, is there anything that you can take back to how you grew up? Maybe your parents, did anything come from them did they have a similar sort of like outlook on life, or like how did that look for you?
Yeah, it's probably say, yeah, my dad probably had a similar attitude to that. Most of my childhood, he worked really hard. He probably worked 23 hours out of the day. But he also, at the same time, I can never think of a time where he never spent time with me, or like he always had time to do something with me, but he was also always working. So there's kind of, I think back, like, yeah, he had a lot on his plate, and he just got it done. I mean, he never kind of showed that he was worried or complained about anything. He just kind of, just got the job done. So I think that's where it comes from. And I kind of always wanted to be kind of that provider that my dad was. He just always gave us what we wanted, but at the same time taught us a lesson of not just getting what you want. You always have to earn it. And there's a lot of hard work to get to that. So yeah, I think my attitude comes from a lot of like just observing my dad and how he worked and how he did life. Yeah, I'll add to that, like not leaving my mom out. My mom's a very compassionate person, so like I feel like my softer side and not kind of stressing out comes from my mom, as much as my dad. Like my mom's just always has time for everyone else, so I feel like I get that from her, and just that like attitude of just get it done. Nothing comes without hard work from my dad.
Yeah, it's a cool like a bit of each of them that's helped you in your life, kind of thing. Clients. What are you looking for in a client, if you are looking for a client, and what is something that is like a red flag?
When you're looking at a client, like my brain is now in an agency, in the agency model of onboarding a client and looking for new clients. So you kind of got to look at what we do as creators, and most of the time they kind of, as creators, we kind of become a marketing team for a client. You're essentially their full-time marketing team when you're working for a client. And I think a lot of times our job is to kind of educate clients like what marketing is, because a lot of people, especially when you're looking for the corporates, they kind of see marketing as the result, or the sales as a result of marketing, but it's never that black and white. So I think when I'm looking for a new client, I'm kind of, like I said, like I want to kind of go through that process of learning about each other, almost like a little dating phase. Like, do you actually like each other? Do you fit with each other? And I'm looking for clients that are willing to go through that with me and build a relationship, rather than just looking for a transaction. Cool, I need this. Can you do it? Give it to me. Cool, I'll call you when I need something else. I'm not. I'd say that's probably a red flag for me. When you kind of, when clients just call you when they need something, and some transaction and you do it, yes, you're making money, but there's no real growth there together. I don't know, a direct red flag. I'll come back to that. I'll give it some thought now.
Do you have like a story of like a really like bad experience with a client or a project?
I'd probably say anything like a lastminute.com is probably a red flag, and now I would just say no. earlier in my career, I probably would have said yes, or I did say yes, and it ends up biting you. Ends up being a lot more than you thought, and the project's almost not worth it, because there's no pre-production and no planning, and like so like client calls you and say, hey, can you do this later today, or are you free tomorrow? And then there's no brief being sent, and like the deliverables aren't communicated. You end up shooting, and then you hand over, and it's not what the client wants, and then now a single day job's turned into a 4-day job or a 5-day job. So I think anything lastminute.com, I would just say my calendar's full. Sorry.
Sometimes it can be quite hard to turn down work, right? Especially when obviously we need the money and all those type of things. How do you decide if you are going to turn down a job? Obviously that's an example, but where do you draw the line? Or is there like because like say in the beginning of your career you sort of said yes to everything, you sort of
you just say yes, you just take on everything,
and it's kind of important because you need experience, and at least like for me, I kind of wanted to figure out what I actually like. Cause
what do you enjoy?
I think I like something, but then I do it. I'm like, well, actually, I don't really like that.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, I was like, I get paid to do photography, I would be so stoked. And then I started to realize, hold on, there's actually certain photography I don't even really like.
Yeah.
And then I started to realize, oh, actually, I don't want to do that kind of photography. It's not all what I want to do. So then it's almost like in the beginning, you say like, yes. And then at some point you're like, hold on, I'm actually going to start saying no to things.
Yeah.
Like, what is the value in, or not what is the value, but like, how do you see that process of like saying yes and saying no? Or like turning down work?
Well, it's like you just said, like, now that we've been in the industry for 10, 12 years, you learn what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. So now when a job does come in, you don't just look at it as money. You kind of look at it like, it's the same thing as when people say like, someone hires you for a job and you can do the job in 10 minutes, but someone else takes an hour. They're paying you to do the job. Like, is she paying me for my knowledge that I can get it done in 10 minutes? Like, that's what I've learned. Like, I have all this knowledge and you get it done. Like, so I think when a job comes in, you know what you're capable of and what you enjoy doing and so some projects, like, a lot of people take on a job and be like, yes, I'll say yes now and I'll figure it out later. I feel like that's kind of the line where I say no. Like, if I'm going to say yes and then figure it out later, I'd rather just say no now. Because I'm saying no for a reason. Or saying no now is saying yes to something else later. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Like, I don't want to take on a job and then figure it out later, and then another job takes me 5 days, where I could have said yes to 2-3 other jobs that took me 10 minutes in those 5 days.
There was something that I at one point started to like realize as well. Me saying like yes to jobs that I don't like is actually taking that away from someone who would like to do that job.
Yeah, exactly.
Like me doing a wedding, I don't really want to do a wedding, but I'm actually taking a job away of some other like wedding photographer who's like, I really love doing weddings. And
I need a job this month.
Yeah, so like, and I'm actually taking it away, and I'm probably not being that great for the clients because I don't really want to be there. And there's, again, there are times, and there still are times when I do things just for the money. But in general, it has got more like refined, at least it's aligned in some way with my business, that this is still a good fit, even though it is maybe more of just for the money kind of job.
Yeah. And like where I'm at now, you're starting an agency, like you need to build those funds. You need to get in money. But I think also, like, you get a feeling of this is probably not the right fit. And I think I'll never say no to a client without recommending someone else. I've got to that point where like, a client's come to you, I don't want to leave them without an option. So I'll just say to them, thanks for the offer. Like, this is not a fit for my business. I recommend this person. They'll do it much better than I can. And yes, you're giving money away, but at the end of the day, I think I'll be a lot happier.
Yeah, it's not all about getting paid.
Yeah, it's not all about getting paid and making money.
You spoke about that like never giving up sort of like mentality, like what your dad had of like working hard, those type of things. And with you having like pivoted to different things, when do you, or how do you define or get to realize that what you're doing you don't want to do anymore? So where it isn't about never giving up, it's actually about, yes, I actually want to give up now for something else. So when do you, like, how do you know when this is just a really hard time or this is actually something that you don't want to do anymore? I'm not sure if that makes sense, the question.
Yeah, I think I understand. Yeah, it's a good question.
Like you in the agency getting to the point of like, I don't want to do this anymore. You could also look at that as like, well, this is just the challenge. I'm gonna,
Yeah,
keep
it's just a hard
persevering.
time.
But there was something in it that you were like, hold on, this is more than just that. It's something I actually don't want to do.
I think like when I left when I moved from freelance to the agency, and then kind of went back to freelance. If you look at it that way, you can kind of look like I was upgrading and then downgrading again. But I think it comes back to like comes back to kind of my kind of never give up attitude, where you're like, and I always had this thing in me to not be the next big entrepreneur of business, but I got to a point in the agency where I felt a little bit confined and boxed to kind of like spread my wings and make mistakes at the same time. And when you're in the agency, you have your targets and you have your lane to stay in. And I got to a point where, my attitude and my approach was I didn't want to stay in a single lane and just meet targets and do things a certain way. I wanted to not do things a little bit messier, but like I kind of wanted to just test waters and do a bunch of things to make mistakes, and if it works out, it would be a big win. And you can't do that when you're in an agency. You need to stay in your lane. And I just couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I hope that's an analogy or a good enough example.
Yeah.
Having your own agency, you still have to kind of have that end goal, but like my approach is of like, oh well, let's try this. It might flop, but it might be a big win. Like you can't always do that when you're in an agency and in a team. But now, being the head of my own team, I want to allow people to kind of, you have this idea, run with it. If it flops, it flops. Like you never know, it could be a big win. But at the same time, you kind of have to know the boundaries.
Yeah, I feel like there's with creative things, it's important to have some kind of a boundary. Otherwise, it can feel too vague. It's like, just make any video. It's like, okay, I can't think of what to make now. Okay, let's make a video in this area. And then you can, cool, I have a boundary. I can play within this space. But it's important to have that ability to try and play and, the creative kind of like field.
Yeah, I'm talking more business now. Like business ideas and business decisions, not creative projects and creative ideas.
I feel like with like business, there's a lot of creativity with thinking about how to solve problems and those type of things.
It's kind of being like a big picture thinker, and you see the big picture, and then there's multiple ways of getting around a mountain. Like there's not only one way. But when you in that agency, they have their way, and you can't kind of detour from that too much. I think I'm just like just got to a point where I was a bit more of a big picture thinker, and I wanted to try multiple ways. So going to freelance and then trying those was my best option at the time.
Currently, with what you're doing with the business, what are you enjoying about what you're currently doing? Not necessarily the work part of it, but the setting up a business. or company? What are you enjoying about that process?
Yeah, I don't think there's actually too much that you enjoy about it.
So I'll ask the other question: what is currently like a challenge? What's the current thing that you're like challenge that you're finding a challenge that perhaps next year you'll look back on and be like, yo, last year I was really like struggling to do that and now I figured it out. I'm trying to think for us, at least like for me, a current like challenge I feel like I'm dealing with is bringing in consistent clients. So again, have the project thing seems to still be happening, but it's this consistent clients and sort of how to pitch it properly to them without coming across as like a salesperson. Because I feel like I'm not actually trying to sell anything. I'm actually trying to find people who would be a good fit. So it's to convey that message to clients and find people. That's probably where I'm at the moment, not like struggling with, but that's the current learning challenge part that I'm in.
I look back, and if I look back at the projects that I've done in the last year and how those projects came about, most of those projects were pitches that I did. The project didn't come to me.
Okay.
So it's kind of a project that's
cool.
I wanted to do, and I built a pitched it, and I got it. So the client didn't necessarily have the budget there, and we want to do this, and came to me and said, "Can you do it?" I kind of looked at the client, said, "Hey, I'd love to work with that client. Like, let me find something that they challenged with, and how I can maybe offer a solution to them." And yeah, building a pitch and pitching it. So I feel like the biggest challenge now in building a business now is probably getting in front of clients and getting in front of people that you could kind of be networking with. So it's probably the networking part of business is what I find most challenging now.
There was something that you told me a while ago. I'm gonna try and get you to like remember the story, but then you can like tell it. Yeah. You were sitting somewhere and some guy asked you, "What do you do?" And then, but just maybe tell that story and then tell me like what did you learn out of that experience? Because that was it seemed to be like a pivotal kind of experience.
Yeah, that was a pivotal moment in setting up the business. That was before I'd done the rebrand, and it was as I was starting the rebrand and hadn't kind of built the business yet, so I had nothing to show for the business. And I was sitting in front of a major corporate CEO in a very informal environment at a breakfast table, just kind of sharing a coffee and a muffin. And he asked me, "Yeah, what are you doing here? What do you do?" And I kind of fumbled my words and said, "I'm a photographer. I take photos for a living." and then the conversation ended, and he had to go off and do his work. And I walked away and said, "What the fuck?" Like, I had like a perfect moment to kind of pitch my new agency to a massive CEO, and I didn't know how to do it. So, and everyone, you always know about like the elevator pitch. So like, if you can't tell someone what you do in 20 seconds, like you lose the opportunity. And I lost that opportunity. I'll probably never sit in a comfortable situation, like very informal, with that CEO ever again. And I missed that opportunity. So I think I walked away from that moment with the realization of, okay, I need to go back and figure out, like, I believe in this business, and like I believe I can offer a service, but how can I pitch it to someone in that 20 seconds that they walk away and be like, cool, I know what he does, and I remember him.
Yeah, I think that's a very like valuable a very valuable like lesson. I feel like it was like within a week after that you had like set up your website and you had all the
I'd
stuff
set up
so
my
organized.
website and I'd like figured out my brand language and I'd known everything. So I kind of walked over there and be like into my cave and just figured everything out. Since that as well, you kind of like I've come to the realization that especially in today's age, there's so much AI out there, and like every software you use, and like you build a website, and you're like writing LinkedIn posts, you're writing captions for social. Every kind of app and platform offers AI. Rewrite this caption using AI. So, and I've learned like you need to get it down. You're talking to a human being, so just like meet them as a human to human. Just don't learn a sentence off by heart and like try and repeat it because it's going to sound like that.
Like scripted.
It sounds scripted, yeah. So you need to have that script and kind of in your head, but when you're speaking, kind of just speak to another human being and just tell them what you do. Who are you? What you do. Boom. Yeah, lost opportunity.
Yeah, but again, you'll be ready for the next one. And it's like because of those type of situations that will have, I mean, it kind of gave you, not that you didn't need the motivation, but it did give you other kind of motivation to get going quicker or get the website going. And like now, if you happen to sit in front of somebody, you'd probably be like, oh, sweet.
Yeah, I know exactly what we do.
Like recognize the opportunity more.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is your next, what are you looking at in the next, I don't know, like year or two? What's your goals or?
Yeah, my goals for the next for the rest of this year and probably going into next year. It's not going to happen quickly, but it's kind of, I've like realized that I do enjoy the business side of work. So it's kind of just building on the contractors that I'm working with now and the suppliers that I'm working with and trying to integrate them more into the business and kind of hand off a lot of work that takes me away from day-to-day operations of the business. Because like as much as it's fun to travel and like go do cool stuff and like be in cool places and photograph when you're building a business, it's not the right decision. You need to be building the business. So I think that's kind of where my goals are now, is to kind of learn to hand off work and hand off responsibilities to people that I'm working with, so I can just focus on the actual day-to-day operations of the business and growing the business.
Business-wise, do you have any people who you like look up to, or you like, oh, I like how they do things, or just people you get inspired by?
Yeah, recently I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. Yeah, through this process of building a business and building a brand, I've started listening to, I think I shared the podcast with you, Jackie Hermes. She's based in the States, so not even local, but kind of, I found some similarities in her story with mine, and I've really been enjoying listening to her process and learning from her process of how to build a business. And other than that, now, I'd probably say my wife's dad. He's kind of someone I look up to, someone a lot older and kind of achieved everything in life, and just the way he prioritizes certain things, and still finds time to do everything with family, with us, like everything. He's kind of someone I go to for a lot of advice, even though like our industries will never mix. He's an engineer and I'm a creative, so like our industries don't even match. share no similarities, but just as a person, I kind of look up to him and I go to him for a lot of advice. So I can kind of get to half the person he is now, I feel like I'll be successful.
Yeah, that's cool. Just on that, like, what is for you important in life?
Family's pretty much everything for me now. And like, I used to be super like, yeah, work is work, like make money, get it done, I'll sleep when I'm dead. And now I realize like, yeah, you can do that when you're 20. It's, yeah, you kind of like lose, I don't know, I haven't lost the fire to chase that. Like, I still want to succeed, but there's easier ways or more sustainable ways of doing it. Having that attitude of I'll sleep when I'm dead is, it's good for like 3 months, but you will eventually need to sleep. And right now I'm trying to just kind of find a way of spending more time with family. My little daughter, who's 9 months old, kind of being able to clock off at 5 o'clock and kind of put work away. And I think that's really hard for us who work from home. Like, you never switch off. Like, and I'm really bad at it. Like, I'll never close my laptop. I'll always like take my laptop from the desk to the couch and then carry on watching TV, or like have dinner and then like, oh, I just need to reply to that email. Like, I feel like, yeah, it's really important now to kind of like just have those on and off times in the morning. Yeah. And yeah, I'm a morning person, so like I kind of wake up at 5 in the morning and just get all my work done. Like, I'm really productive between 5 and 7. So like, I'll wake up at 5, do a lot of stuff until 7, schedule emails, like schedule stuff that I need to get done, like get it done, and then kind of spend time with my daughter and my wife from 7 until 9, and then try work at 9. And it's a lot easier said than done. Like, I'm still bad. I always do work before, or that's kind of important to me now. Kind of getting more structure in and to kind of like separate that work life.
Yeah, it's good. We've had a similar thing, because like Megan and I also both work at home. We also work together as well, and yeah, we also got to the point, I think it was just after COVID, where it was very hard to say no to work because it was all coming back again.
Yeah.
But after that whole year of doing that, sort of realizing, hold on, we like permanently working. We're always talking about work.
Yeah.
On weekends, we were talking about what we should do next week. And we also got to the point of like, hold on, let's try and make normal office hours. And then on like weekends, we just like, we didn't talk about work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And at some point it was a bit scary in the beginning, because it feels like you're like neglecting the business, but it's actually made no impact as far as like I haven't like lost work because I was off on the weekend, you know?
Yeah.
Even
exactly.
sometimes like, if someone emailed me on a Saturday.
Yeah, if I don't reply, I'm going to lose the job.
I'm lose the job, exactly. And then
no.
I would just tell myself, I'm going to do it on Monday, and I do it, and they're like, oh, cool. Yeah. Let's do the shoot.
Yeah, if you reply on Saturday, they're not going to respond between Saturday and Monday morning either.
No.
They might, but it's not going to be the difference of getting the job or losing the job.
Yes.
So,
and if it was, it would probably actually not be the kind of job I'd want anyway.
Exactly.
And that was a big thing to learn too.
It's not the right fit.
Yeah, like those jobs that come up on a Saturday afternoon that need me to like reply right now are actually it's not the kind of jobs that I want. So
yes.
If I'm saying yes to them, then I'm just getting more of stuff I don't want.
Yeah.
So that was also a big one to kind of learn. Yeah, cool. Last question, I think, is what would you tell your younger self? Any advice or anything that you would sort of look back and be like, like little Kevin, you should have, or not like you should have, but any words of encouragement or any things that you would want to have known?
Not really specific, like something I wish I knew versus something that you should embrace as a younger creative. And I read a post. I'll find him on LinkedIn, and it kind of hit home so much. I read it last week. He said when he was younger, and I think we all kind of like did this when we were younger. You didn't have the knowledge, or you hadn't been through the experiences yet to kind of do anything. So kind of you would just kind of phone a client, say, "Give me money, I'll do this for you," and you kind of just like go hard when you're younger, because you don't see, there's no like negative effect. It's like, if I don't ask, the answer is always no. So like when I was younger, I would just like, I'd have no scam in just like emailing anyone, saying, I read this LinkedIn post, and I kind of resonated with it. I was like, it said he's also 15 years into his career, and now he's just launched a new business, and reaching out to new clients, you worry about the small details of like, hey, no, that's the wrong way of like of talking to people, or you worry about, are my logo colors not the right colors? Is it too bland? Is it too bold? Like, am I using the right fonts? Like, is my logo too big or too small? Like, when you're younger, you didn't care about any of that. You didn't even have a website, or you had a website that you just had a portfolio, like a PDF portfolio, and you would just kind of like reach out to everyone. And I'm like, I don't know how to say it. Really, like, you almost, you kind of don't think. And I wish I still had that kind of approach to things, of like, I think I would reach out to 100 more clients if I kind of went about it that way. Versus now, you kind of sit and write an email for 2 days, and okay, wait, no, that sentence is wrong. Like, boom. And yeah, sometimes that is the right way of going about it. But I think, yeah, just embrace that kind of, what's the word? You kind of like,
yeah, it's not that you don't care, but maybe you're not overthinking things.
yeah, you just don't overthink things. I think now, I overthink things too much. And like when you're younger, you don't overthink. Embrace that. Just enjoy it. Just go. And I think now we have to stop overthinking things now, because it takes us 3 days to do something.
Yeah,
you could just get it done.
It's actually so funny that you say that, because I've recently got this background, because I was doing it so much. I had to change my background to, it says like, don't overthink shit.
Yeah,
and that's from like Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I must find him.
I'm just realizing it's like, there was so much that I'm just like overthinking things, and like imagining all these like scenarios that the client's gonna whatever. And it's like, I haven't even sent the mail.
Yeah.
And
Greg commented on it and said, he kind of like felt exactly the same way. Like, this guy is like, it's taken him 4 months to like his website to go live, because he thought like, it wasn't the right color on his homepage, or he used the wrong font in his menu. When he could have just posted it 3 months ago, and like,
yes.
And he posted it, and everyone was kind of like positive, like, way to go, bro, like, good luck, like, rooting for you. And he hadn't made any changes.
Yeah.
So he should have just posted it like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, you just overthink too much.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually the same thing as with the specific idea of doing a podcast where I'm interviewing other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I actually like registered the podcast thing last year. And it's taken me this long to actually get going. Now we're on episode 2, but like, it's one of those things. The only reason why I didn't was because I was like, but I'm overthinking everything about it. Right?
Yeah.
So the idea of this,
perfect, like.
and the idea of this is almost like to practice not overthinking it, to do it because I said I would, and to put it out however it comes out, whether it was perfectly lit or not, or I said everything 100% correctly or not. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. Yeah. Where can people find you, and how do they get in contact?
I'm still on social as my personal brand, Kevin Sawyer. But anything biz related now is crossed over to show and tell. So look us up on the website, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Cool. Yeah, I will put all those links in the description here somewhere. And then, yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for sharing. It was cool. It was nice to hear a lot of your, like background story. We've obviously chatted a lot over the years, but it's nice to hear it all in like order.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll do this again sometime soon.
Lekker. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. If you enjoyed that, please don't forget to subscribe and let me know if you know of someone who would like to be interviewed or you would like to be part of this series. Send me a message. Look forward to making more of these, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.